Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We're trying to get Roger Hess signed on here, so Jason's working on that. So here we go. Welcome to the February 14th Criminal Justice Committee meeting. Roll call, please. Number 2.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hess, Mr. Long,
Present.
Mr. Fairfield, Mr. Tholen, Mr. Carrico, Mr. Eckhoff, Mr. Hunter, Ms. Turner, Ms. Monday, Ms. Andrade, Ms. Armour Earps, Ms. Rittman-Akemi, Mr. Scanlon, Mr. Wheeler, Mr. Alexander Hildebrand. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next we have the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion? Ms. Earps, and seconded by Andrade. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And Chief Judge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And you are number 3?
Okay, good morning. Just have a couple things to report on today. The renovation of the courtrooms is just about complete. We do have 8 out of 9 courtrooms completed now with all the new equipment that was a grant from the AOIC, the Administrative Office of Courts in Springfield, and we've got one more to finish up. We do have a list, and I think it's on your agenda today. Hopefully you got a list of the items, but in replacing all of the electronic equipment in the courtrooms, that they pulled out all the old stuff, and it's sitting in a room in the basement at the courthouse, and we'd like to declare that surplus. And then we've had Kevin Duvall look at it, and he's indicated that it is of no value to him or any of his projects. There may be some other departments that might be interested in it. Did everybody get a list of what's in there in your packet?
Should be in your packet.
Okay. I looked at it yesterday. There are some things that I have no idea what they are. They had to do with the VA system that connected us to the jail. There were 3 VCR DVD players that got very little use, but they're in almost new condition, but they're somewhat obsolete now with Netflix and everything. But if we can either take it all to the recycling plant, or we can offer it to other agencies in the county. We could have a sale. It might bring a few $100s. Maybe there might be $500 worth of stuff there, but I don't. Some amplifiers, things like that. So I'd like to get at least declared surplus, and then we can talk about what to do with it.
So, do we have a motion, Mr. Hunter and Ms. Andrade? Second. All in favor of declaring this surplus? Aye. Any nays? Very good. That's the first step, and
I don't know.
I'll go to Kevin and figure out how to dispose of it.
Okay.
What the process ought to be.
Okay.
Very good.
All right.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up is Sandy Ciance. Could I have a motion and a second to accept her report? Ms. Andrade and Ms. Monday. On a Wednesday, yes.
Good morning,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good morning.
So my reports, I was just really kind of, I mean, we print it off all the time and I do review it, but I just noted today that our disbursements for the month of January was a little over $400,000, which is kind of a big month considering, it's right after Christmas. People probably weren't wanting to pay things, but they did. The collection reports are the normal and usual reports, but this time I did a chart, a graph of what our history has been with the collections, and it's this one here. So you can see how in 2011 and how we jumped up and how it's gone up and down. And then the second chart is just all of the history of just the month of January. So it was kind of interesting to me to see that in 2021, that was our largest collection out of our history, you know, even after the pandemic. So, and then it dropped significantly.
Since the changes in the way we are able
Legislation.
to
Mhm.
collect that, it certainly has affected the amount.
Yes, it has. And then one of the other things I wanted to do is thank the board too, this board and the full board. Our board understands this. A lot of clerks in my association have said that their county boards came back to them and said, how are you gonna make up the difference? And it's not us that we, you know, it's not under our control. It's, you know, you can't shake the trees. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. So does anybody have any questions on that?
Any questions? Mr. Wheeler on number, is that 16 back there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sandy, I was just wondering how you were gonna make up the difference.
Thank you.
Always the comedian.
I didn't want you to feel low.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I wish I could, you know. We're doing everything we can within the limits of the law, so, you know, that's the fun part. The other thing, the Tyler project is moving along very well. We had a meeting yesterday and we're trying to fit in the next phase of integration. So that's going to be good. They're targeting somewhere around August for our training, and September right now is the date that we intend to go live. Of course, that, you know, line might move a little bit depending on what issues we come up with in the meanwhile, but I think we're pretty much on target. The bid opening is tomorrow for the office renovations, so I've been shredding a lot of files that we've already got scanned, all the documents scanned in. So a couple weeks ago, the shredding company came, and you know your large garbage cans that you put out, well, they have bigger bins, just a touch bigger than those, and we pushed out 22 of those a couple weeks ago, and I still have more to do, but we were knocking it out a little bit at a time. And so then we're gonna get people located to every crook and cranny of the courthouse for when the renovation happens. So there's been a lot going on.
So will some be down in the newly renovated?
Oh, they're already there. There's 13 people down there now, and then I'm gonna put a 14th person in one desk. And then I'm gonna have some people, we're looking at putting 2 people in the lunchroom because there's really nowhere else to put. I'll have 6 in the office that we just vacated to move the people to the basement. I'll have 6 people in there, and that'll be our main office. And then I'll have 4 we have 4 empty desks in traffic right now. I've kind of held back on filling some of that space with employees until I can get this renovation happen. So, and then by then, hopefully, we'll be integrated with Tyler. We'll all be moving back, you know, into our spaces, and we'll all learn Tyler, and then we'll see where we are. You know, maybe things will work out that I don't have to hire more people.
So the space that we renovated in the basement's already been being used?
Oh, yeah.
Used well?
Yes, last, I think we moved in sometime last June, maybe, something like that.
So was that 2 years ago that we started cleaning out that basement?
2 to 3, yeah. We
Yeah.
finished in 2 years ago, yeah.
Yep.
Came up on my time hop on,
Yep.
on social media. So yeah, that was a big project.
Very good. Anything else to add?
Nope, that's all I
Very
got.
good. A bit of housekeeping. Roger has joined us. I need a motion and a second. Mr. Hunter, Ms. Herbst, all in favor of allowing Roger in? Any nays? Very good. I think we have a motion and a second on the floor, do we not? For accepting Sandy's report. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Very good.
Very good, thank
Anything
you.
else?
Nope,
Okay,
not for
thank you
me.
for your report. I think the graphs are pretty interesting. It shows the, you know, that the income from the non-paid are kind of going down on us, so it's something to keep an eye on. Thank you. Up next is the state's attorney. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
We
Yep.
need a continuance on filing our report. I respectfully request from the board. But we did not get our grand jury minutes filed for this year, or for this month rather, and we will have both months next month. If anybody has any questions, though, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Short and sweet. Okay, Mr. Penwig. I need a motion and a second to accept Mr. Penwig's report. Ladies. Miss Turner and Miss Earps. I have to look, I'm sorry. Mr. Penwig?
Good morning. I've got nothing to comment on the report. I am asking that a vehicle that we were given approximately 4 years ago be claimed as surplus. It was very used when I got it. We've been keeping it alive for about 4 years, but it has got a slow power drain and just isn't reliable or functional, so I'm asking that be declared surplus property. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Okay, has everybody seen that report? Any questions on the report? Very good. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the report? Anyone opposed? Okay, it looks like it's a Chevy Impala. The VIN number was supplied to you. Could I have a motion to declare that surplus? Miss Andrade and Miss Monday on a Wednesday. All in favor? Any opposed? Very good. I think we got what we needed to. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Latham is on his way up for his report. I need a motion and a second to accept his report. Mr. Hunter, Ms. Earps. Good morning. How are you?
Only thing to add to the report, unless there's any questions, is down at the bottom right, we're missing two total investigations and total caseloads. We missed that. It's not in there. I just missed it when I filed it, so I'll let for next month just get that corrected.
Okay. Anything else about that report?
Nothing else.
All in favor of the report? Any opposed? So, tell us how we're doing filling the vacancies that you have.
Well, we're not doing real well. We have 3 vacancies. Really, it's not our issue. The transition from county to state pretrial is moving very slow because they're having the same issues I'm having filling the spots. So once they fill those spots, obviously they'll take over and we'll transition those, 2 people into 3 vacancies. So we'll be down to 1 vacancy finally, if that makes sense. But because it's taken them so long to complete that, I have a conference call today with them at 1:30. I'm hoping to get a good timetable on. I'm not surprised. I mean, we're having issues, they're having issues. It's a very similar job. It's very similar starting pay. It's very, so I'm hoping to push them along today, and by next month, maybe it's
Good.
Yeah.
So you recruit in the colleges, I assume?
Oh yeah, we got one supervisor that specifically their job to communicate and build a network with all the local schools, go to any kind of job fairs they have and things like that.
So regularly at KCC, or it requires a 4-year degree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But we still go to that. We still go there to try to, it's a little bit longer term, because it's, but we do. We go to, obviously, Olivet, Governors, and ISU, and all through the,
very good.
a certain range, but.
Mr. Hunter, what is the number there? Say it again. 13.
Tom, thanks a lot for your report. Can you explain your internship program?
Yeah, and that's the same thing. We kind of have the same process with, I would say, more ONU and Governors with that we are in communication with them. And we have it's very set up the very same ways if you're applying for a job. We have an application they fill out, they send to us. We interview them.
How do you recruit those interns, or you have a relationship with those schools?
It's really the same way we do. Like they have a contact person. Our supervisor has a contact person with an individual in different schools, and we're always communicating with them about it.
And how many credit hours do they get for that, or is it broken out that way?
I'm not sure it is, but I'm not sure how many, because some of them are, there's,
I think it varies by the school.
Yeah,
and we really like to have a full-time intern. Sometimes they have to break it down. They're there 2 days a week or 3 days a week, or because of their class schedule. But we like to, if you really want to get them a feel for what the job is, it's nice to have them there full-time, Monday through Friday and things like that. And then we also, most local police departments, their internship program, they assign the intern to our department for a while. So if you're doing a, with Bourbonnais Police Department, or Bradley Police Department, or Mantino, or wherever, or Sheriff's Department, they'll send them down to our office for a few days just to observe and shadow. So
They usually this time of year they're scrambling to get their internships in so that they can graduate on time. So,
yeah, there's usually a deadline. They're hoping to
Yep.
find out.
So, yep. Very good. Anything else for Mr. Latham? Very good. So we had a motion and a second. Did we vote on accepting? We did.
we did.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Next up
Thanks, John.
is the Sheriff Mike Downey, who is remote today. In front of you, you should have his usual monthly report. Could I have a motion and a second on Miss Monday and Mr. Hunter? Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, everybody. First, before we get into the report, I just want to mention that one of the things that we were asked last month regarding those that were detained and not detained, I believe Ms. Earps asked that. That is not on this report. That has become quite a task for a number of reasons, but we are continuing to work on it, and we are hoping to have it by next month. So you won't see that on there. We didn't forget about it. We just have run into some issues between everybody involved, between the courts and the state's attorney and the jail. So we will work on that. So you'll notice that our local jail population is back up to where we have been. Actually, it's increased a little bit. I was surprised last month when our number went down a little bit, but in looking back, historically, jail numbers have gone down in December. I don't know if judges feel in the Christmas spirit and tend to release more people, but historically that number in December has been lower. It has shot back up in January, and we anticipate it'll stay there. And mostly because I think that we are holding those in jail who need to be held there, as opposed to holding everybody. And then once the Pretrial Fairness Act came into effect in September, we ended up releasing a number of people. That really didn't happen here in Kankakee, and we didn't think it would, just because of the work that we do with between our office and the state's attorney's office to make sure that the ones who are being held in jail are there, and the ones who could be released were released. And that's a credit to Jim Rowe's office and our jail administration, who works with them basically every week. So that number has shot back up. Let's see. Another thing on the report, if you look, the comparable revenue on the right-hand side there, we are at this point $12,700 less after 2 months this year than we were last year. That's somewhat volatile. I mean, it has its ups and downs. We've seen a slight decrease in our federal inmates, and that, again, that is consistent with years past where those numbers dip a little bit in December and January. So we're not too excited yet, but just wanted to keep you in the loop as to where we were at. Anything else on the report? I mean, it's pretty standard, with the exception of how many have been detained since the Pretrial Fairness Act, and again, we will continue to work on that. There is one other area that I want to highlight, and that is under the inmates who are released from the Illinois Department of Corrections. You'll notice that that's been a slight increase from last year. Last year, Kankakee County sent 123 individuals to the Department of Corrections, and there were 510 released for the year. So over right around 400, a little less than 400 more were released than were sent to DOC. And those are numbers that are continuing to increase. We have noticed now, because we get notified whenever anybody is released back to Kankakee County from the Illinois Department of Corrections. And what we've noticed is that individuals are being released significantly sooner than when their sentence is complete. And just a little bit of how it works with the Illinois Department of Corrections. The sentencing judge really has no say once they enter the Illinois Department of Corrections. And what I mean by that is all their time is calculated by representatives at the Illinois Department of Corrections. So a 10-year sentence, when you hear somebody say, oh, so-and-so got 10 years in prison, well, a 10-year sentence doesn't mean 10 years. Most, depending on the offenses, most individuals who are sentenced to prison get 50% off day-for-day credit, or 50% when they walk in the door. So a 10-year sentence now becomes a 5-year sentence. They also get credit for working. They get credit for taking classes. And, right now we have, an administration at the state level who has made it their goal to empty our prisons. So you're seeing a lot of individuals who are being released much sooner than their time, and our judges, our state's attorneys have no impact on that when these individuals are released. Some of you may not know, and this is kind of scary, but individuals now with the Pretrial Fairness Act and electronic monitoring, while individuals are on electronic monitoring sitting in their home, if they get sentenced to prison time, they get credit from the Illinois Department of Corrections for being on electronic monitoring while they are sitting at home. So that should be, I certainly don't agree with it. However, that's the legislation. So people who are on electronic monitoring, waiting for their trial, if they plead guilty or get found guilty and get sentenced to the Illinois Department of Corrections, they get credit for that time while they're sitting at home. And if you recall, part of electronic monitoring actually gives these individuals time where they don't have to stay at home. They can go out, they can go to the store, they can do whatever they want. So they get, and I don't recall the specific number, but they really get a pass to not necessarily stay at home, which in a perfect world, if somebody were to, do that, go to the doctor, go find a job and all that, but we know that the majority of those individuals, that's not what they're doing. So, that's a little troubling from a public safety standpoint. Any questions on the report?
Any questions? Okay, all in favor of accepting the report? Aye. Any opposed? Very good.
Just a couple more things. I just returned from the Illinois Sheriff's Association winter conference. It was held in Bloomington, Illinois. And if you recall, we brought 3 correctional officers in front of the full county board and recognized them for their life-saving heroics while saving an individual who was trying to harm himself. Correctional Officer Jackie Harkar, Damian Maldonado, and Cameron Douglas. And this year they were actually recognized by the Illinois Sheriff's Association as the Correctional Officers of the Year. So quite an accomplishment for them. They deserve it. And it was a fun night, and so they got the recognition that oftentimes those that working inside the jail don't get. So we were very excited for them.
You could
Some of you
actually
may-
go to the sheriff's Facebook page and see pictures of the event too. So
Yes, we posted something on for them. So when the Pretrial Fairness Act took effect on September 18th, there was a lot of speculation that the jails would become a revolving door, which they somewhat have. But one thing we did, and credit to our undersheriff, Chad Gessner, who worked with our Metro bus service. We've been trying to get bus service out to the jail since we've opened in 2003, and they just couldn't do it. And so, knowing what was coming with the Pretrial Fairness Act, knowing there were going to be more individuals released, probably quicker than they would have otherwise, and maybe not had time to get a ride, the Metro bus, River Valley Metro, did work with us, and they created a bus stop out at Jerome Combs. So individuals now, when it's excessively hot or extremely cold, they don't have to walk a couple miles and run the risk of having issues with the heat or the cold. So there's a stop there every hour on the hour, and so that's a big credit for to get Metro out there. So we're very happy about that. And then obviously we've talked about all the mental health issues going on, specifically trying to get individuals who are found unfit by the courts into mental health treatment. There has been legislation that has actually extended those individuals' stay in our custody because of the lack of beds that mental health has, and and I shouldn't say lack of beds, because they do have the beds, but like everybody else, they don't have the staff to operate a lot of these facilities. So myself and the executive director of the Sheriff's Association and a couple other sheriffs met with DHS, and we have come up with what we're calling somewhat of a mental health hub that Kankakee County is going to be a part of. And what that does is it gives us more resources for mental health individuals, not only for our own detainees, but for also other jails who, in a lot of cases, can't handle those who are in mental health crisis. So those individuals will be housed here, and the state of Illinois, DHS specifically, will pay to house them here. So the benefits for us, obviously, is the mental health treatment and the resources that the state are going to provide and pay for while these individuals are in our custody, with the hopes that if they get treated, it may make their need for additional inpatient mental health treatment less, as well as a benefit for them, so that they're getting the treatment now while they're in custody and not waiting till they get to the Department of Mental Health. So we're excited about that. It's been a long process. We've been talking about this for about a year and a half now, and it's finally coming to fruition, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So I will certainly keep you advised. Lastly, at the Sheriff's Association conference, there doesn't sound like there's much of, if any, legislation regarding the Safety Act or the Pretrial Fairness Act. However, like usual, there's plenty of pro-criminal and anti-law enforcement bills being filed by the usual legislators. Some of you may have saw the one that Justin Slaughter filed about basically no longer being able to stop a car for pretty much anything. speeding or anything, which would obviously create certain safety risks. That got taken off the table fairly quickly with all the blowback that he received. And I know this will be no surprise, but that legislation was actually written by Kim Foxx, the state's attorney in Chicago, in Cook County. So I don't know if that was her last parting gift to law enforcement, because she's not running again, but the bill's going nowhere. But, you know, that's what we're dealing with as sheriffs, and dealing with legislation that continues to make our communities less safe. And it's our job as sheriffs to work to keep our communities safe. So it's a constant battle. And that's all I have.
Interestingly enough, this morning's headlines on WGN were with Kim Foxx on how well the no bond, no bail was working. And according to her, that's working really great in Cook County. And DuPage was on that same page with Ms. Fox, but there are 2 other counties that were commenting about how poorly it was working for them. So that was pretty interesting that you brought that up this morning. So,
well, and I think, Mr. Long, I think, you know, when you talk about, you know, when people ask, I mean, you can ask from our end. I would say that it is working well in our court system. I think the courts, the public defender's office, the state's attorney's office has done a great job. We were very prepared. Chief Judge Cunnington, Jim Rowe, who worked with law enforcement on this, did an excellent job in preparing our system for the Safety Act, or the Pretrial Fairness Act. So while I would say that I would agree, believe it or not, that things are good from a court standpoint. Where I would say it's not good is when we're turning around and releasing people who've been arrested 20 times for the same thing, and you know, they continue to just be a burden on our community. They're a burden on law enforcement. So yeah, I mean, you know, credit to our court system for being prepared to deal with the issues involving the Pretrial Fairness Act. However, you'll never convince me that arresting somebody and then turning right around and releasing them the next day before the ink's dry on the report is a good thing. I understand, and I think we all understand that, you know, the elimination of cash bail is here to stay. And however, you know, public safety is something that's ongoing, and I'm not quite sure what it's going to take to wake people up to keep individuals in jail who need to be kept in jail, whether that's done by legislation or whether the courts expand their definition of what a danger to the community is. I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer. All I know is that our public is less safe because of the Pretrial Fairness Act.
Yep. Well, and just to go back to your earlier comment, a sign of the cooperation between the departments, our courts, our state's attorney's office, and obviously the police in this community are all on the same page, trying to do the best job they can with the tools they're given. So, and kudos for that.
No doubt, no doubt.
Any other things? Miss Monday, what is the number there? 12? Go ahead.
Just a quick question regarding the bed rentals. I noticed that, you know, it's high for so far just in January compared to the year to dates for last year and 21, 22. Is that all coming in from Champaign, or?
No, the majority are feds. Champaign has been consistent anywhere from 90 to 110. The feds fluctuate a lot more. It just depends. Again, it's a working number that goes up and down, and you know, our goal obviously is to try to keep our numbers consistent with what we did in fiscal year 23, and so we work on that. We work with the feds, we work with Champaign every day, and we've actually reached out to a couple other agencies, just put out feelers if anybody is in need. That's kind of some of my conversation when I'm with the other sheriffs down in at the sheriff's conference.
Thanks.
Very good. Any other questions or comments for the sheriff? Thank you, Sheriff. We always learn something when we have you here, and thank you for going after that mental health thing. If you've been in the business, you know that a large portion of what we do has to do with mental health issues and drug addiction, and thank you for that. So,
You're welcome. Have a good day, everybody.
you too. Next up, Miss Carrie Laird. In front of you, you have a report from Miss Laird. I need a motion and a second. Miss Andrade. Miss Earps. What do you have for us?
Really nothing on the report unless there are questions.
Oh, come on. I see an end of the year thing, do I not?
No, that would have been last month.
Oh, that was last.
Yeah.
month. Okay. All right.
Our numbers are slightly down from last year, but I mean, it just depends on our registration coming in from our local veterinarians.
Very good. Anything else?
On the building, there is a update that possibly they'll be done by April. In April, I should say. We still don't have a transformer for the building, so we would likely not take occupancy until the transformer issue has been resolved. So we could have a building, but just look at it. So
Okay.
they've done the floors that epoxy's in. They've got doors up. They've got furniture is coming in a couple of weeks. Cages are coming in next month, I want to say. So it's come along fairly quickly. They've done a lot in a short time because the weather's been great. It's been nice to have updates frequently. I get pictures every day. It's just sad we'll have to look at it and not take occupancy unless we get the transformer. So if anybody knows anybody at ComEd, you know.
Anybody have a
Slide 'em our
connection
way.
out there?
Yeah, they're trying. They said it's a supply issue, so we can rip some off somewhere else and put it where when we need it. That'd be great too. Just kidding.
Yeah. It's a system-wide problem. I have a friend that is in the construction business, and they're waiting for theirs as well. So
Yeah, White and Company did a school, and they had the same issue, and another public service they do. So we aren't any more special than a school. So it hasn't really helped us being public service, unfortunately.
very good. Miss Earps, what's your number over there? 4? Go
I'm
ahead.
just curious if an incident that happened a couple months ago in regards to the dogs that were removed, where is that at? Or we're trying to get dogs removed from a home? The case we heard?
Oh, that goes, I want to say on Friday. I want to say her next case is Friday. Without saying too much, it's Friday. I'll just
Okay,
put it at
that's
that.
fine. Just curious where we're
Yeah.
at. Thank you.
Did you have anyone else have questions for Miss Laird?
Staffing is great.
Yep. And I see we got you into some much better vehicles than we had.
Yes, we have all new vehicles. We still have one utility truck, which we use for our part-time officers. But yeah, we have all new vehicles, so it has been nice to not have to worry about repairing everything. Yeah, we took 20 some dogs in April of last year, so we know it's happening. It's just we just have to be proactive on getting that to stop.
Anyone else? Miss Andrade, go ahead.
What do you guys have to offer? Because people hear animal control and they think already the works. So you guys do microchip?
We do microchipping, yeah. It's more or less like we're there for the strays in the community. We do rabies control. So if your dog is loose in the community and we go out there, it's not a bad thing we have your dog. We saved your dog likely from getting hit by a car or taken, used for nefarious reasons, things like that. You know, people don't like us when they hear animal control because we got to pay all this money. Your animal's current and it's microchipped and it's spayed or neutered. We'll likely return it to you in field, meaning there'll be no fees and fines. We may write you a ticket for running at large, but there'll be no fees and fines because generally it's around $300 if your dog is taken and brought to our building on day one. That's not including boarding and things like that. Just to get them current, paying for the fees and fines, microchipping, things like that. So we do help the community in that way. They don't think that we do, but we are helping them. You know, your dog isn't out there or your cat's not out there, you know, running dangerously, getting hit by a car or, you know, being attacked by another animal. So yeah, microchipping. We don't. We do work with other shelters on low cost spay and neuter. We push them through. Spay Illinois is actually running a $20 special. If you're a Kankakee City resident, you have SSID link or a senior, it's $20 to get your dog spayed or neutered, microchipped, vaccinated. And they're doing transports from our building for like 1 next month and 3 in March. So we all have that on Facebook and on our page, on our website too. So we work well with the shelters in the area. Humane Foundation just took a dog from us the other day that was hit by a car. Owner couldn't afford the treatment. They surrendered the dog to us. We transferred it to Humane Foundation, and they've since gotten the dog surgery, and the dog is healthy now. So.
13.
Mr. Hunter.
I don't want to be verbose, Chairman, but I got a question in terms of an agreement with the City of Kankakee.
We're just waiting for occupancy for our building.
Okay, but do you have a signed agreement yet with them?
No, we don't. We're waiting for that all to happen. We have a general contract that we give to all the communities. It's just putting in dates and fees.
If you call code, they call you guys, but you guys been working on an agreement for.
We have it there. We just haven't gone forward with it until we get the new building because we don't have the occupancy. We don't have the space in the current building for that. We do take all cities' dogs currently. It just sometimes they go out there and they return the dogs on their own rather than calling us for it, so it doesn't cost them money. So in that sense, the law enforcement will they'll be out of the middle of it. They would be able to just direct them straight to us.
What about raccoons?
So raccoons are a public safety issue. They are considered wildlife. We don't necessarily deal with wildlife unless it's a public safety issue. So if it's again, if we approve in the communities we don't have contracts with, but if it's in the Village of Bourbonnais, they have a contract with us, and it's public safety, meaning it's in Jules parking lot, and it's acting erratically, we would go get something like that. If it is in the county, we're of course okay to do that because we are animal control for the county, those residents. So we would go get that if it's acting erratically and you have a pet in your yard and things like that, because they do carry rabies. Well, likely a lot of times it's actually distemper instead of rabies. We just euthanize and then dispose. But as far as if you have like a large raccoon population, we don't do anything with that. It's wildlife animal control.
Mr. Snipes called them for help.
Anything else? Very good. We have a motion and a second to accept her report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All right, Bob. We have Eric today. Thank you. We have a monthly report in front of you. I need a first and a second to accept Ms. Earps, Ms. Andrade. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Just a few quick highlights here. Historically, December and January are always the two busiest months of the year for us. This year was no different, with 139 total calls in January, 9 autopsies. One thing to point out, if you go down to the COVID-19 column, you'll see 7 for the month of January and a total of 8 for the year. That does eclipse fiscal year 2023 already, so we have seen a slight uptick in that number in the last couple weeks. I believe we've added 1 additional thus far in February. But aside from those couple quick things, that's all that we have to report on the report.
Very good.
Unless there's any questions.
Any questions on the report? All in favor of the report?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's it.
What else do you have?
That's it.
That's it?
That's all.
All there is?
That's all.
Okay, very good.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Very good. So, next is new or old business. Anybody have something? Chairman Wheeler.
Thank you. I had asked Jason Shane to come in and make a report about Tyler, the project. He's the project manager for the Tyler project. I said, when you got something, let us know. When you got a timeline, estimated dates. So this is really the first one where he's kind of giving the committee a full update, if you will.
Very good. Okay, what number is that one? Is that one 18 or 17? 17? Yep. Very good.
Good morning, everybody. Right now we're fully entrenched in the configuration of Tyler on all the different levels. I do have got myself a little cheat sheet here. Right now we're about 34% of the way through the project. Sandy's team has been working extremely hard, and they've been great, putting in a lot of hours. We're finalizing the first data push this week. All the configuration and data review for the first data push has been completed. We're prepping for data push number 2 along with all the financials. So far, everything's been going really, really great on that front end. We just had a meeting 2 weeks ago with the Alliance team, which is the team that is doing all the configuration for how all the different pieces of software talk to each other, how Sandy's talks to probation, to the judges, to the sheriff's software for order protections, warrants, things like that. We also just, as Sandy mentioned, we just had a meeting with the e-filing team. That way, when they do go live in mid-September, everything will be extremely not flawless, but smooth to making sure it goes as perfectly as it can. So far, all of that sounds really good and on point. We also loaded up the initial round of the financials for data push to attorney manager. That piece of software, we have meetings for the state's attorney team right now. Matter of fact, that's starting as of today, this afternoon. We're going to be pushing through on that. Basic configuration has already been done and set. Now it's more just training them, getting them in so they can see the configuration, making sure that the configuration works for their department and how they're going to flow between the two. And I think that's about all that I had, at least for my notes at the moment. If there's anything else.
Chairman, I guess beyond the nuts and the bolts, because there was a lot of inside baseball there, stuff that we talk about, but I think the committee would want to know, and correct me if I'm wrong, what's working, what are some challenges, are we on time, are we on budget? Those are, I think, if there's anything else, I think that's what would you want to see on a quarterly basis, at least, and then if there's something outside of that, when should he come and tell you?
Given the list he just gave us, is there anything else we'd like to hear from Jason over time?
Yeah, if there's any more feedback or anything that you guys like to hear, I can definitely put it in a report and get back to you whenever you guys see fit.
I have one. How's the user experience with the people that are in the offices as they see what they're going to be working in, or how they're going to be relating with other departments? The transition from paper to electronic, that whole new, as they see what the future looks like, are they willing and embracing the future, or are they going, man, oh man, I wish we had paper, and kind of that kind of thing.
Now, I've heard a lot of people saying that they can't wait to move to it. They're not big fans of CourtView, or there's been holdbacks that CourtView can't do, but this software can, so they are looking forward to it. I do know that there's been a few times where, like, for example, Sandy has told me she can't wait until getting on this, like for the warrants. The warrants go through 7 different people's hands, is that correct, Sandy? As of this is going to definitely streamline everything and make it a lot easier on all the departments involved. But as of getting into the workflow of everything, I think that's more questions-based for the individual department heads, because they know the workflow of it better than I do. But I've heard nothing but good news from the people that have been involved on it.
Very good.
13.
Mr. Hunter.
Jason, you've always been a pro. Anytime we interface or talk to you, you've been the guy that take care of us. You and Kevin are making a hell of a team. If you had a magic wand and it could do anything and everything in terms of this process, what would you do with that magic wand to expedite and enhance the process, the transition?
That's a good question, but I'm not sure how to answer that. Every project has its issues. Every project has, little softballs here and there, or things you have to overcome. That's just part of the job. But honestly, we already got great teams of people working on it here at the county, and they've been doing an excellent job. I have no complaints. Yeah, it's smooth across the board.
Very good. Well, thank you for that report. We'll be looking, I assume he's coming to the criminal justice from now on? How about we start here, and if we have to change, we'll do that later. Yep. Right. He has a couple of jobs here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I also have to publicly thank him. Yesterday I had a technical difficulty, which many of you know about. I tried to make it a appointment in my own calendar, and it ended up in everybody's calendar. I don't know how that happened. We decided it was probably the owner-operator's fat fingers did the wrong thing. But I do apologize to all of you, and thanks, Jason, for helping me out with that. So, anything else? Thank you, Jason. All right, we're kind of down to that last thing. Do we have, oh, Miss Monday, number 12?
Wick, don't forget Mr. Pentwick.
Okay.
We didn't get his report, right?
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
I want to hear it again. Were you up there?
I think it was Mr. Coughlin that might have been
I did
sleeping
not
back
have
there.
enough coffee.
We didn't get our report for him.
Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, I do remember. Forgive me. I'll drink more coffee. I'll get more.
I'll get a refill.
It happens. It happens. All right. Anything else? Number 4. Thank you.
I was just wondering, as a board, I know we started here, but maybe it needs to go on to the main board, but after as many public comments that we've had recently, some of them gotten somewhat aggressive. I'm wondering if it's something that we need to address for safety for us up here. I know
it's been talked about with other members. Maybe we bring that to the chairman and to the sheriff to help us decide that. Okay,
Yeah,
number 12.
Yeah, he calls me out all the time, and here's what I've determined. I must have a resting happy face because I'm not intentionally smiling at this man. So I just must have a smile on my face, and I don't know, man, he just hates me, and I do not appreciate his comments.
Let's not speak specifically, but
yeah,
just in general.
Yeah, I do not appreciate comments that are directed towards one individual person.
Right.
So,
and language has to be better.
and I'm so sorry if I'm smiling when I shouldn't be. I don't even know.
Yep.
I'm more concerned about safety, and they shouldn't call out individuals or anything like that. So I just feel that it needs to be addressed. Just how I feel. So.
Number 13, right?
Yeah, thank you. Appropriately stated, this room is not conducive to safety. I remember recently the same individual that Peggy Sue was talking about. I was wondering why Long was sitting behind me, because there'd been a statement said that he was going to get me, and I said, okay. I found out why Craig was sitting behind me, because usually Andy sits back there. So yeah, appropriate. Maybe there's law enforcement needs to be present or something. But this room here, it's not conducive to public safety of anybody. If there's arguments pro, con, items or language directed at us, I'm not sure if we have the safeguards to address it.
It's a hot topic, I understand. Everyone cares about their community, but there's ways around it to be safe, and it just takes one person not to have the right mind at the wrong time. So, just I bring it to concern.
Andy, do you have some thoughts there?
I had mentioned my. It's not just this room; it's the whole building, and I would say that there is the individual in charge of security. We should have that conversation. They're well aware of the fact that if there is anything controversial, it's really impossible for me to predict controversial anymore. But I mean, it's beyond that. I would say that there is no structural way to set this room up for that, as Mr. Hunter mentioned. Coming in the building, you know, tax season, the whole deal. So.
No,
it's-
I was
it's
thought
not-
about that this morning when I came in. I came in
it's
a little
everything.
after 7 and the building's wide open and the offices are wide open and there was definitely access to the building everywhere. So, something that we probably should have a discussion off camera with the sheriff and throw around some ideas. But we are living in different times and I think we have to be on guard, and be aware, but certainly something worth talking about. So, do we take it to a subcommittee at this point, or are we the subcommittee?
I really think it's the sheriff's call.
Okay,
I think he's in charge of security of all the buildings.
okay,
So I think it starts and ends there. It could be a request from the committee for him to look at it, but all he would need to do is to know that we are concerned.
okay.
And I have said that in the past. Heaven forbid it was something more contentious than a piece of business that we had nothing to do with in the first place.
So would you like me to bring that to him, or would you like to bring that to him as the chairman?
I think maybe the committee might bring it to him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Anything else? I think we're ready to wrap this up there. Roger, are you out there still? It looks like he is. Do I have a motion, Mr. Hunter and Ms. Andrade? All in favor of? Thank you for everything today.